Leonard Ellerbe has said some really strange things about Eddie Hearn over the past few years. Recently, he said that he would knock Eddie Hearn the F out. I don't know where this kind of stuff is coming from with Ellerbe. Is he genuinely frustrated about the fact that in a few short years, Eddie Hearn has managed to come over to the United States and become a bigger promotional entity, a bigger factor in the US market than Ellerbe is? And Ellerbe's just lashing out over that? Or is it just clout chasing? Ellerbe knows that Eddie Hearn's a big name and draws a lot of attention from the media, and therefore he's thinking, okay, let me use some of Eddie Hearn's notoriety to my benefit. Let me say something crazy about him, and then all the spotlight that's normally on Eddie Hearn comes onto me. Maybe that's what it is. Perhaps it's a combination of the two. Perhaps there is genuine frustration there in Ellerbe, but he thinks, you know what, let me use that negative emotion to my advantage. Let me turn a negative into a positive. I'll use that frustration and say something crazy about Hearn, like I'm going to knock him out or whatever. And then it brings attention onto me and helps me to promote my shows and so on and so forth. Who knows? You guys let me know what you think in the comments below. But the latest thing that Leonard Ellerbe has said about Eddie Hearn is that Hearn has squandered over $1 billion and has no US stars to show for it. Well, this is in reference to the deal that Eddie Hearn apparently did with DAZN to become their main promoter. People were calling him the $1 billion man at the time. And apparently he had $1 billion budget, but it was contingent on hitting certain performance targets from what I remember. I think he had to hit certain targets in the first 2 years, and then after that, the rest of the budget would be released to him. But 2020 changed a lot. 2020 was a very, very difficult time. Well, the past 2 years been a very, very difficult time, certainly for businesses and many other people. So I don't know whether Eddie Hearn still has that same budget with DAZN. I mean, DAZN, as we know, have been hemorrhaging money, and the past 2 years would have exacerbated that and made it far worse. So, yeah, who knows what the budget actually is for Eddie Hearn now. As far as producing stars in the US, that's true. He hasn't produced any stars. Again, difficult over the past 2 years for everybody to produce stars. And there's nobody on Eddie Hearn's roster right now in terms of American fighters who at the moment looks like a surefire star. He's got the likes of Ammo Williams and a few people here and there. Of course, Devin Haney's gone off to do something else with Bob Arum. He had to sign with ESPN and Top Rank in order to get the George Kambosos fight. So it's looking pretty thin on the ground for Eddie Hearn in terms of his US talent. People talk about Canelo, and of course he's got Canelo on a short-term deal. Canelo is not a US fighter, he's a Mexican. People seem to forget this. Yeah, he fights in America, but he is a Mexican. So in terms of US talent, who is there? But at the same time, you look at Mayweather Promotions and you think, well, who have they got? They got Gervonta Davis, and how big a star is he really? He isn't doing great pay-per-view numbers. In fact, I saw some reports about his pay-per-view numbers that were absolutely shocking. It's amazing that they're able to pay this guy as much as they do, because apparently Gervonta Davis gets big money. But yeah, the numbers that he does on pay-per-view don't seem to justify the kind of money he gets paid. So I think Ellerbe has got his own issues to worry about rather than talking about Eddie Hearn blowing $1 billion and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, Eddie Hearn's got issues too. He's definitely under pressure from DAZN, his broadcaster, because if they're hemorrhaging money, and well, it's not an if, we know they're hemorrhaging money, therefore pressure will be put on their employees, whether you want to call Eddie Hearn an employee or not, a partner, whatever the case may be. He works for DAZN. He provides content for them. So they are going to be putting a tremendous amount of pressure on him in light of Leonard Ellerbe Leonard Blavatnik, Len Blavatnik injecting, what was it, 4.3 billion recently into DAZN. Yeah, so Hearn's under pressure, but in a way, Ellerbe's under even more pressure because he doesn't have the kind of roster that Eddie Hearn has, doesn't have the budget that Eddie Hearn has. You know what I mean? Ellerbe's just a little peon compared to Eddie Hearn. Let's be real at this stage. So, yeah, kind of curious the way that Ellerbe's been carrying on. I do find it quite entertaining for some reason. I don't know what it is about this little obsession that Ellerbe has with Eddie Hearn that I find amusing. But I think other people, at least some other people, feel the same way. There's just something funny about it. There's something funny about the way Ellerbe looks anyway. Right? We all know he's just a funny looking guy. But when he starts talking about Eddie Hearn, I just start cracking up, bro. And Eddie Hearn seems to find it quite funny. In a recent interview, Eddie Hearn said that he'd like to take Ellerbe for a nice cup of tea. Because Ellerbe seems to be so upset with Eddie. Talking about knocking him out. Why would you want to knock Eddie Hearn out for what? It must just be clout chasing when he's saying ridiculous stuff like that. Can Leonard Ellerbe, I guess this guy's nearly 60, right, Ellerbe? Can he fight? He doesn't look like he can fight. I mean, never judge a book by its cover, right? But yeah, Leonard Ellerbe with his little goatee and I can't see this guy fighting. I reckon Eddie Hearn might do him over, you know. I think that Ellerbe might be underestimating Eddie Hearn hand skills. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below about what Leonard Ellerbe said. Yeah, he has some point. He makes a fair point about Eddie not building any US stars, and he's certainly under pressure to do so. But who have Mayweather Promotions got? They got Gervonta Davis, who, how big a star is he anyway? And other than that, please remind me of someone that Mayweather Promotions actually have. Because the Charlos are with PBC Al Heyman. They're not with Mayweather Promotions. They've actually got their own promotional company. I think it's Lions Only Promotions or something. Who else is there in the States? There's Terrence Crawford. There's Errol Spence. These guys are not with Mayweather. So, yeah. Leonard Ellerbe, little man syndrome maybe. And I don't mean that in stature. I don't know how tall the guy is. But in terms of his, not physical stature as a man, but stature as a promoter. Little man syndrome. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below.